Republican Congressman John Fleming recently was quoted as saying this: Obamacare is the most dangerous piece of legislation ever passed in Congress. It is the most existential threat to our economy. President Obama mocked Congressman Fleming's remark yesterday.
One congressman said that Obamacare is the most dangerous piece of legislation ever passed. Ever in the history of America, this is the most dangerous piece of legislation.
The Congressman John Fleming of Louisiana is joining us here in the Situation Room. Congressman, thanks very much for coming in. Did you actually say those words?
Oh, absolutely.
You believe this is the most dangerous piece of legislation ever in all the years of the United States of America?
This legislation, Obamacare, removes $716 billion
Going back to when legislation approved slavery and all of that, this is even more dangerous than that?
Yeah, this affects millions. In fact, it's going to affect probably every single American. It covers 1/6 of the economy. People are being laid off. 77%, Wolf, of every job created today is a part-time job as a result primarily of Obamacare. As you know, the numbers have just been released in the exchanges. On average, the cost of health care premiums are going to go up 99% for males, 55% for females.
This is worse than the pro-slavery legislation?
I can't think of anything right now that could be more damaging for our economy than passing and putting into effect and implementing Obamacare.
I understand you believe it's dangerous now, but you said it's the most dangerous piece of legislation in the history of the United States.
Yes, I think so.
I'm asking if you think it's even worse than pro-slavery legislation.
I haven't drawn any comparisons between Obamacare and any specific law in the past, and certainly archaic laws like that are no longer in effect, I can't really comment to. But the point is that Obamacare is hurting Americans. Hospitals are cutting way back on their employees.
But it's not even gone into effect yet. The only thing that's gone into effect is that children can be on their parents' insurance plans until they reach the age of 26. That's gone into effect.
In exchange for increasing the premiums, and that's the problem. The premiums are going,
Don't you think those
skyrocketing.
30 or 40 million Americans that don't have any eligibility to get health insurance?
We could have raised those premiums years ago to accomplish that. And if we let individual Americans actually look at that on a marketing basis, I don't know where they would stand.
Let's talk a little bit about this, because you're a physician.
Yes.
So you understand medicine, you understand the needs. In Massachusetts, they have a very similar plan that Mitt Romney has pushed through, and people over there seem to like it. It seems to be working.
Unfortunately, their per capita health care cost and their premium cost are the highest in the United States by far. Their waiting list to get in to see a doctor have grown since that was implemented. And half of people of Massachusetts cannot find a primary care doctor.
But if you ask people in Massachusetts if they're satisfied with what's going on, it's pretty popular right now in Massachusetts.
Well, again, Massachusetts loves big government. But I can tell you, in my state of Louisiana does not love big government. We love a growing private sector that allows people to have freedom of choice, to choose their health plan, to choose their doctor, to choose their hospital.
You know where this whole concept for these mandates to mandate that people who can afford to buy health insurance, they should buy health insurance instead of just being freeloaders, going into emergency rooms and getting free medical treatment. You know where the idea originated?
I think you're referring to the Heritage.
That's correct. A conservative think tank here in Washington.
Was in response to a law passed in 1986 called EMTALA, which requires hospitals and doctors to treat people for free for showing up. And so what they were trying to do is float an idea, how do we get responsibility back to the American public? But there are many problems with it.
Shouldn't people be responsible, though? If you can afford it, if you can afford to buy health insurance, shouldn't you buy health insurance?
I think absolutely. But the problem is this law makes it unaffordable. That is the basic problem.
But for a lot of healthy young people, it's going to be relatively cheap.
We're hearing again, as companies approach this, more and more people are finding themselves taken out of the company plan, thrown into the exchange. Employees who are full-time are being moved to part-time. So not only are they losing their health care coverage from their company, but they're losing their full-time job. That's, to me, I think that's
let me just ask you a question, because you're a physician.
Yes.
If somebody can afford to buy health insurance, they don't buy health insurance, they get into a car accident, and they're critically ill, they need to be treated, obviously, who should pay for that?
Well, what happens under Obamacare is they then join and then as soon as they get well, they get off again, and that causes adverse selection, and that makes.
But they have to pay a penalty if they don't buy their health insurance.
A very tiny.
There's a tax that they have to.
Very small.
They have to pay. It's not that small.
And collecting it is going to be very difficult because IRS really doesn't have the power to do anything but withhold a credit.
But you're okay with you and me and others who pay a lot of taxes giving these freeloaders a free ride when they get sick?
Well, there's a massive transfer of wealth and income in Obamacare. So any way you look at it, whether it's Obamacare or what we have today, people who do better are going to be exchanging and giving things. But the problem with Obamacare is that people who decide not to take good care of themselves are going to get the preferential treatment, and people who are healthy and try to do what they can to prevent disease are actually going to be paying the cost of that.
Let me read another quote, and you tell me if this is accurate. In the New York Times today, quoting you, economists, what have they been doing? They make all sorts of predictions. Many times they're wrong, so I don't think we should run government based on economists' predictions. So explain what you meant by that.
Well, first of all, economists disagree, so you got to decide which economist that you want. Number two, remember all of the hysteria that happened with sequester. Oh, the stock market was going to crash. Interest rates were going to skyrocket. Well, the stock market is actually up 3,000 points since sequester, and the annual deficit has gone down tremendously.
So just to be precise, if the Senate language, which passed today in the Senate, comes to the House and the Speaker of the House allows an up or down vote on that so-called clean bill that will allow the government to remain in business, not doing anything with Obamacare, you will vote?
I will vote no, and I don't think the Speaker has the votes to pass it as a clean CR.
All the Democrats vote yes. Will there be a whole bunch of Republicans who will support the Democrats?
I really don't think so, Wolf. I really think that he won't bring it to the floor that way because it won't pass.
But if he does, what would happen?
I think it wouldn't pass.
Even if the Democrats, you don't think there would be enough Republicans?
You might get a few Republicans, but not enough to get it passed.
Congressman, thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you, Wolf.
Congressman John Fleming, Republican of Louisiana.